There is an idea that I've been developing, and it's using a new language to explain the law of attraction and manifestation. At least by new, I mean it's one that I haven't heard taught yet. And I want to be the first or one of the first to help us understand the law of attraction and manifestation through this concept called entrainment. And entrainment is a word that I first learned. I don't know if I first heard it in 2010, 11, 12, or if it was just when I started to study something that helped me understand it. And the idea is that the sounds we hear and the way we are and the vibrations and energy in their consistency entrain the brain. And that's a concept that we're starting to hear more of in mainstream as neuroscience is studying the brain and studying the interactions between the brain and sound, specifically music, music and its components of frequency and rhythm, rhythmic patterns. Also, the entrainment of the brain and the body into patterns influenced by frequency and by breathing, inhalation, holding, and exhalation, and how physiological movements entrain and change the physiology of the body and all of its components. The interaction of energy so that two different patterns, whether they are a stable pattern or a chaotic pattern, two or more patterns influence each other and come into a state of stability, and this is called entrainment. 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 To become a train together, to become trained together, to become into one pattern together. And here, I believe, is a rather magical understanding of the forces at work, the opportunities to understand manifestation and the law of attraction in a new way that gives us more agency. It's a more complex, if you will, or more identifiable, observable influence between energies. Because the fact of the matter is that none of us lives in a vacuum, if merely by the fact that we are in a physical body, in a physical world. We interact with energies all the time, all the time. Because everything has energy, and everything is having an influence on everything of some kind of influence. And so, what if we understand this idea and gather our thoughts and our actions and our reactions and interactions and become more conscious of our own energy and our way of being and how that energy interacts and is being entrained by the circumstances around us, the energies around us. And we become more conscious of creating energy and how that influences the world and our experience. There must be a better way, a more concise way to explain this, but these are new concepts for understanding how we are creating our world. And so, much like singing, which is my background, there are challenges to teach a thing that we are right in the middle of. And often story and sensation and modeling and drawing attention to is the only way to try to explain something which then the student must apply to the best of their ability and sense and feel and practice and explore. So, entrainment, the process of energy influencing itself, energy produced from two or more sources, two or more different patterns influencing and coming into one pattern. And like in singing, being stiff and rigid in any part of the body makes it actually more difficult for the energy to agree to a pattern. A stiff voice has less complexity available to it. It has a rigidity that does not allow for cooperation, for coming together very well. It insists on its own way. And a rigid voice can be uncomfortable to listen to because it has no softness, it has no space, it has no give. It insists on its own way and can be very difficult to listen to, much less respond to in a positive, change giving way. So I can think of certain voices which are public, very well known in the public, that I simply can't listen to because of the quality of the voice and my resistance to that. I'm not physically able to expose myself to voices that insist that their way is the only way, that there is no other way to be except this way, and that they are influencing and impinging their being upon me. There's no room for me to be my individual self and come into an alignment that is my own, and to come into a cooperative state of being. And so those voices don't get my presence because I want to be in cooperative living, cooperative energetics, not to be forced into some particular pattern and way of being. And that is my truth. And perhaps an example for you to imagine in your own life where there are certain things that you simply don't allow in your life because they don't fit, they don't feel good, and so they don't get your presence. There is no entrainment, there is no space for cooperation, for coming together into a new pattern of being. So, where in your life are you creating energy, a pattern of being that is giving you feedback that it's not interested in the way that you're showing up or becoming a cooperative component? And where in your life could you change your way of being present, to be a more cooperative component and to encourage greater cooperation from the world around you? And perhaps that is by being a stronger presence, amplifying the energy around an idea, creating greater clarity, creating less chaos. Perhaps you have a way of thinking and being that is chaotic. There's more than one energy, more than one type of thought in your being, in your presence about something you want to create. But there's noise in the sound, in the energy. Where in your life do you have a desire that is complicated by doubt, by fear, confusion, by multiple beliefs, where something, a belief that you've held in the past is different from what needs to be present to believe that something can come to pass? Where is there noise in your energy, in your beliefs? Where do you want something and mostly believe you can have it, but there's an energy from the past that says that you can't, you're not good enough? Finding that, or not even necessarily finding it, but having an awareness of it and allowing it to be, and inviting that energy to shift and come into the new pattern instead of being in resistance, that energy providing resistance to the new pattern. Where does being afraid keep you from engaging fully, becoming fully entrained into a new pattern, a way of being that feels better to you and creates different results. This is my love. I have loved this idea. I am loving this idea. I am hopeful to entrain my life to share this idea with others in a way that empowers them to live and love and be powerful and in love with themselves and in love with their lives in a way that is encouraging and hopeful and inspiring and empowering, and that helps us become our very best selves and to create the experiences and the way of being and loving and creating that is expansive and powerful. And this is what I desire to build my community on. I'm seeking my tribe, and I'm putting this energy out into the world. Here I am. This is my pattern. This is my way of being. Come find me. I love you. Namaste.